So a few years ago, I worked at this coffee shop called Colectivo, and they take coffee very seriously. You're not allowed to touch the espresso machine until you take Espresso 101. And it's very different than another coffee shop that I worked at that rhymes with Farducks. And they teach you how to make a drink on day 3, and it's basically just add as much sugar as you can. But when I worked at Colectivo, I was really nervous because I didn't really drink coffee. The closest that I drank to coffee was like those like milkshakes that you buy at a gas station that says it has Frappuccino in it or something. But I was really nervous when I got to Espresso 101 because like I didn't know what this class was. I didn't know if I needed to take notes. I didn't know if I was at a desk. I didn't know what it was. So I show up for class, and it turns out that it's just me, a barista, and the espresso machine. And he's sort of going through his checklist of different things, and he's telling me like, okay, so the basics of this class is we are going to expand your palate. We are going to get you to understand a little bit more about the flavors in espresso. And first I'm going to show you around the machine, and he's kind of pointing things out, and I'm like, stop what you're doing. I am going to be honest with you. I'm very nervous about the tasting part of this. And I'm one of those people that kind of like to run before they can walk. So I'm like, let's just skip straight to the tasting part. Let's just get it out of the way. And he says, okay. And so he makes a shot of espresso and I drink it. And then I make a shot of espresso and I drink it. And he says, okay, can you taste the difference? And I say, no. And he says, that's okay, so let's just try it again. So he makes a shot of espresso, and I drink it, and then I make a shot of espresso, and I drink it. And he's like, okay, can you tell me the difference now? No. And he says, that's okay, and he pulls out this chart. And he says, this is the coffee flavor wheel, okay? So these are all the different flavors that can be in an espresso. So let's try this again and keep the flavor wheel in your mind. And so he makes a shot of espresso and I drink it. And then I make a shot of espresso and I drink it. And he says, okay, pick out one of the flavors on this chart. What do you taste? And I say, coffee. And he says, that is not on the chart. And I say, yes, it is. And he says, that's the title of the chart. That doesn't count. And I start to freak out a little bit. Like maybe I'm not going to get this. You know, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like maybe I'm feeling a little bit paranoid. And like, why is my heart beating so fast? And he says, let's try it one more time. And so he makes a shot of espresso and I drink it. And then I make a shot of espresso and I drink it. And he says, what do you taste? And I say, chocolate. And he says, yes. I think you're getting this. So let's try it again. So he makes a shot of espresso and I drink it, and then I make a shot of espresso and I drink it. And then he says, what do you taste? And I say, citrus. And he says, what kind of citrus? And I say, grapefruit. And he says, yes, there are hints of grapefruit. And now I understand the game. I can just say anything that's on this chart. And he's going to think that I'm correct. So we try it again, and he makes a shot of espresso and I drink it, and then I make a shot of espresso and I drink it, and now I'm feeling bold, and I say, I'm feeling hints of cardamom and coriander and I don't know what either of those things are, but he says, yes, I can really taste the coriander in this piece. At the end of the class, he is going back through his checklist, and he says, oh, you know what? I never did point out all of these different parts of the machine. You did pass, so I will see you in Espresso 201. But before we get there, I just want you to keep an eye on the timer. You know, this is what we're going to be keeping track of how the espresso shots are coming out. And I want you to take a look at the steam wand. This is what we're going to do to steam the milks. And this is pretty important too. This is the bucket. And I'm like, what's the bucket for? And he says, that's for spitting out the espresso shots. And I really wish he told me that before I drank 18 shots of espresso. Thank you.